This morning, this is maybe an addendum to our Holy Spirit study. But if you would repeat after me, I can call on my Father.
I can call on my Father.
Say it one more time, I can call on my Father.
I can call on my Father.
Now say it with some confidence, I can call on my Father.
I can call on my Father.
Brother Gilbert, having had a father, and now for the last 24 years having been a father, I can tell you that the first instinct of fathers is to make the world safe for our children. Any other fathers that'll amen to that? That what from the moment that you see your child and hear the cry, that our brains immediately go into trying to figure out how can we make the world around them safe, easy, kind, and peaceful. And at first we start out trying to manage the world around them, trying to make sure that the plugs are covered up so that they don't electrocute themselves, trying to make sure that the thread count on the sheets is just right, that there's nothing that they're allergic to. We begin to try to control the environment around the baby, around the child, to make sure that it's safe and cared for. We try to make sure and monitor the people that we allow to come in and out of our child's life and be around the child. We begin to manage the places where we take the child to make sure that where we take the child, but maybe some of the places that we might go ourselves, we won't take our child, maybe because it's going to be too noisy, or maybe because some of the elements in the air are not going to be favorable for the environment for a child, or maybe the people that are going to be around we wouldn't trust with our child. We even try to manage and control the interactions. Who can hold the baby? Who can be alone with the child? Who will allow to speak to our child? Who will allow to touch our child? But our immediate instinct as a father is to figure out how we keep the child safe. Then after a little while, we, instead of trying to control the environment around our children, we began to start trying to control the child. Create rules and guidelines and curfews and expectations. There comes a time when you can't keep them from touching anything. Amen. Sister Lyric is now walking around, and it's a lot harder to keep her safe because the things that she couldn't get to before, amen, Brother Barry, now she is able to get to. And so now, instead of trying, racking our brain to control the environment around the child, we start to teach it, no, don't, stop, wait. And as they get a little older, you need to be in the house before the street lights come on. You got to make sure that you're in here before 10 o'clock. We start setting curfews, and if you can't, then you need to make sure that you call me to let me know where you're at and where you're getting here. Then I want to know who you're hanging with and where y'all are going to be, and don't you go over here and don't you go over there. We begin to, instead of controlling the environment around our child, to start setting guidelines and rules and barriers for our child. Still with the same desire to keep them safe, still with the same desire to make sure that no harm or hurt or danger comes to them, still with the hope that they will have the best life experience possible. Now, I want to be clear this morning that while every father might not have done this the right way, that every father who's ever had a child, this was the intention that they started with. I know that there are some folks that would say, Pastor, you don't know my father. You don't know how he treated me. You don't know. I just want to share with you that sometimes there are fathers that didn't have good fathers, and they were just doing the best that they can. This morning, I want to encourage you to have a little grace for them, have a little forgiveness for them, because they were probably fathering you like they had been fathered. They were probably fathering you like the lack of fathering that they had, that they were probably using every tool. I promise you this morning that every single father, the first time that they heard that there was a child coming into the world, their mind went to figure out how they could create the best place for that child. Now, that don't mean they always got it right, or they always did it right, or that they were always there to do it at all. As a matter of fact, there are some of us whose lives are better because our father was not there. And while we might miss them, that if we were honest with ourselves, that the damage that would have been done if they were there, we should be thanking God that they were nowhere around. So we try to control the environment around them. We try to control them by setting rules, guidelines, and standards. But then you come to a point, my daughter Anaya, she's 24 years old, and in these last 3 years, she began to teach me that not only did I not have no real control around the world around me, that it did not matter how much I tried to make stuff safe, that the world was the world, and it was always going to be the world. Not only that, but she also was going to do what she wanted to do, when she wanted to do it, how she wanted to do it, and so I can't control her. I can't control the world around her. And so God began to move in me and say, well, if I can just give her the best of myself, if I can just instill in her not rules and guidelines, but teach her how to think, teach her how to discern, teach her how to love, teach her how to gain understanding, that if rather than control her and control the world around her, if I could just take the best parts of me, the things that aren't messed up, the things that aren't jacked up, and impart them to her, if I could take the lesson that I learned on my hard journey and impart them to her so that her journey wasn't so hard, if I could take the stuff that I learned on my good days and helped her to have good days, and take the stuff I learned on my bad days and showed her how to avoid the bad days, that I would be doing all right. That rather than trying to fix the world, if I could teach her how to navigate a world that she understands and identifies as broken. If rather than teach her how to follow rules, that I can be an example to her about what it means to be just and loving and kind. If I could be an example of what it means to be happy and have joy, if I can be an example, not just telling her, not just giving her rules, but showing her how to live. And finally, if I could just pour a little bit of myself into my child, she would always be able to call on her father. Maybe not just calling on my phone, but she could call on the things that I place in her. Maybe not being able to call out in a place where I can hear her because she's all the way across the country, but she can call on the things that I place inside of her when times get tough and when times get rough. Maybe she can't text and I can't answer the text, but she can call on the lessons that I gave her and the love that we shared and the time that we spent, so that she knew if anything ever goes wrong, if trouble ever shows its head, if she ever needs help making a decision, that I might not be there. I might not be able to hear her, but she can always call